Hello and welcome to Wrestling with Fantasy. My name is Eric, or known on the internet as Tubby Emu. I've called fantasy sports dumb for the last 5 years. I've thought sites like FanDuel and DraftKings were dumb, and I avoided them at all costs. I avoided fantasy football, and then things changed. I grew up love watching sports. I loved the Rams. I loved the Cubs. I loved the Timberwolves. I didn't have one favorite state. I like to spread out. And that's why fantasy football kind of became amazing. As we're going to jump in, this is Wrestling with Fantasy, a daily fantasy sports podcast or show or recap or however we do. A lot of people have been asking me, tell me, why haven't you been making videos? What have you been doing? I've been trying to get more into fantasy sports and really because of the fact that it's competitive, right? So I cover wrestling for a living. I play the wrestling video game WWE 2K16. Enjoy the game. I think it's a good game. But there's a competitive aspect to me that, okay, if I beat somebody in a video game, that's one thing, right? I want to be able to analytically correctly predict and plan out what's going to happen. For the last 5 years, I've said fantasy is dumb. At the same time, having my favorite TV show be The League on FXX, which is fantasy sports. It's football. It's exactly what it is. This season, they actually brought up, spoiler, they were like, Pete's trying to get into DraftKings and he's competing for $1 million. And they're like, dude, we don't care about your money leagues. This is about the pure sport of fantasy. And when it came down to it, the more and more I started watching football this season and getting into fantasy sports, I eventually caved. I think it was week 1 or 2, or I can't remember which week it was. Hulk Hogan had a code. He tweeted out, he said, if you sign up with this link, you deposit, you get free $25. No strings attached. You don't have to deposit money. And I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to head over to fanpicks.com, which I like the site. There's nothing wrong with it. But when I first started, the site was pretty new at the time and, eventually cashed out like $115. But they have a minimum withdrawal of like 50, I think, something crazy. But if you got that free $25 was signing up with Hulk Hogan, they had a multiplier. So you had to play $500 worth of entry fees once you get that $25 to then profit or cash out anything. And it just didn't make sense to me. And I grinded that for a while. And like I said, I put in Justin Blackman. I made a lot of mistakes that were stupid, but I was winning money. I was playing college football. I was playing a lot of different sports. Eventually, 3 weeks later, I cashed out $114 after being down at $2 and then coming all the way back up. I grinded it. Then I kind of got sick of fan picks, and I headed over to a site called DraftPod. And if you don't know what DraftPod is, draftpod.com, you guys feel free to check it out. They don't have a salary cap, or they run GM mode option, which instead of a salary cap, they run based on points, or it's their point system. So it's not like, normal fantasy scoring or anything else. It's a DraftKings scoring system that they specifically came up with called DPG. And you have to pick, if you have a guy that has a cap of this or a usual score of this, say like Aaron Rodgers would be like 24, and you would have to, stay within a certain amount. I enjoyed that, right? And my first time playing, I signed up. I didn't get my ticket. I messaged them. I played, and I went out there and I got, as the screen went dead there for a second, I won $13 my first week at Not As Fan Sports Gaming Universe's house. And I kind of was like, this is kind of easy. And that's the trap that I fell into with fantasy sports. There's no guarantee. Anybody that tells you they can help you with a lineup or guarantee you victory or it's easy money is full of shit. The only easy money there is to sign up with the link in the description, DraftKings.com/r/TubbyEmu. If you deposit $5, you'll get $25 free up until Monday, January 4th, 2016 at 9 a.m. If they might roll it over and extend that offer, and if it is, guys, it's a free $25. You deposit $5, you get $25 free to play with. If you've ever gone to the casino, if you're a new member, they give you $25 to play with, but you can't take that $25. Makes sense, right? You have to play into the game, and then whatever you win, you can cash out, except at the casino, you can't. You have to keep playing until you hit a threshold. With DraftKings, you put in the $5, boom. If you use my link, your account now has 30. So that 30, only 25, 5 you can take out because it's your own money. The 25 you have to play. So you're basically playing with free money. Now, fantasy sports is not easy. If you come into it expecting to be good or you're going to make money right away, it's not that way. After I won $13 the next week, I thought, all right, and I went big and I deposited $300 of my own money. I ended up winning $420 or $418, I think, on DraftPod. I don't remember what it was to be exactly. So I won $100. And I thought to myself, okay, it took 3 weeks on fan picks to make $100. Now I just made $100 in one weekend. And I withdrew the money and boom, it was in my PayPal within 12 hours. Then I started to do bad, and the week that really screwed with me was LeGarrette Blount. When Deion Lewis went down with injuries, LeGarrette Blount didn't do anything, and he had a negative 0.31 week when if he had scored, I would have won $1,000. Then I just kept playing, and I kept getting into beginner NBA games. Basically, every time you sign up, I get somebody to sign up. I get $25 free. You get $25 free. But then if you refer your friends, you get $25 free. So hit up your friends, and then you basically play with that $25, and that's what I've been doing. So to the grinders out there, to the people that are in fantasy sports right now, the concept that I'm telling you does not work. And I mean, sure, if you get $25 free to play with, it makes sense. Who doesn't want an extra $25? But those grinders that keep the money in the cash accounts, that's one thing. I have built my model in fantasy sports around a simple thing that I'm going to cash out what I win from, DraftKings bucks. But if I don't, I'm now starting to get more into the NBA grind. Because one of the biggest mistakes I made on fantasy sports when I had accounts and referrals and my balance was over like $150 in DK bucks was I jumped into GPPs and set up a bunch of lineups, which you don't know what that is. It's guaranteed prize pools, and guaranteed prize pools, you put in an entry fee and then you could win tons of money because there's tons of people. Well, those are very unpredictable. Well, then I started getting into beginner games. So I would go into beginner 3-person. So I would bet $5 or $10. If I won, I got 27 from a $10 bet. If I lost, that wasn't my $10 anyway. If I won, free $27, cashed it out, boom. And my win rate there was pretty good. I won quite a few beginner NBA. But I had entered so many GPPs because you can only enter 50 times to still be a beginner that it killed my beginner status. So the biggest thing I can tell you, even if you don't think you're going to get into fantasy sports until baseball, it's a free $25. You might as well sign up, keep it in your account, and just wait for it. But if you want to get into other stuff, when you get into basketball, get into a grind, find something. And you kind of understand after a while that there are tools out there to help you and make things easier. Because the biggest mistake people do is they go on the site and they click the link, basically, as I was trying to look at the game, as there was a fumble there. The big thing is, what makes it kind of hard, I guess, is when you're picking lineups is messing up. And I'm going to jump into that right away. This week's topic to start off the show is I messed up. One of the big things that I do, and I used to laugh at the league for this, about tinkering. Like, oh, come on, don't tinker. And who's going to tinker? I tinker. This week, which just, my default lineup was, I think it was Alex Smith or Austin Davis or one of those quarterbacks to start off with that was cheap. And then I was going to model that around that. And then on top of that, I had, let me go through and look at my DraftKings lineups to kind of recap. I had Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, Jordan Matthews, the Colts defense, which turned out okay, not as good as the Texans defense. I was going to go cheap with a tight end with Zach Ertz, which Zach Ertz paid off. And I had him in every single DraftKings lineup. He went off for 27 points today in fantasy, just like I knew he would. And I didn't play him. I pulled him out because I tried to get salary, to get in the better players. So I stacked in Odell Beckham Jr. with Eli Manning and Ryan Fitzpatrick in a lot of leagues to save that $600 or $1,100, whatever it was, to save from Eli to Fitzpatrick, thinking, okay, Brandon Marshall's going to go off. Which he did. He got a lot of points, but he did not get the touchdowns that I needed him to. He threw so many interceptions. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick threw 3 interceptions today. So that was a big mistake. playing Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now, if I had played my normal pick, Eli Manning got 22 points. That would have been 9 extra. Had I played Cam, which I would have put in a lineup, it would have been a heck of a lot more. But other big things that I messed up was second-guessing myself. After Monday night, once the contest come up on Tuesday, I would normally set my lineups. Go in with a first fresh look. And my fresh look was a cheap quarterback who was Hightower. I had Tim Hightower, Rashad Jennings, I think. And I'll have to look. And I think I put Nate Washington in there as one of them, which eventually I took out Nate Washington and put in Jordan Matthews. But I made that mistake. And I'm going to kind of go through the thought process for those people that if you're a grinder in fantasy sports, the stuff that I'm telling you is common basic mistakes. If you're trying to get into fantasy and you're just trying to see if it's something you like, what I'm going to go through in this podcast are basically beginner tips to try to become an elite daily fantasy site. If you want to go and check out one of the elite guys, boom, there's a lot of great people to check out. I mean, I can recommend some. But when it comes down to it, fantasy is entertainment for me. Watching, the points tick up when you watch a guy get a touchdown and then they review it and then they take your points away and you just saw yourself go from $1,000 to $4,000 and like it is just crazy. It's entertainment. It's fun. And I find the weeks that I play free rolls. I don't even put any money in. I just play with friends or do whatever. It still makes football so much better. So the mistakes that I made were believing into the hype. Now, the 3 big hype points I want to get into are injuries, situations, or situational awareness for me. And these are my things. If you talk to any other fantasy player, they're probably going to laugh me out of the building here. But situational awareness, where they're going to be, if they're going to be ahead, if they're going to be down, they're not going to hand off to that running back as much. They're going to pass more, so you don't want to have that running back. Similar to me today, the big mistake I made was putting in Chris Ivory and James White. Like I said, I had in Rashad Jennings and Hightower. Hightower kind of underperformed for today, but Rashad Jennings killed it. But the mistake that I made was believing into the hype of D. Williams. So, like I said, injuries, situational awareness, or just kind of, and this sucks, falling for what I call the trap is, I think about Tuesday or Wednesday it leaked that Matt Forte wouldn't play. And everybody was like, he tweeted out a picture or whatever, and he said he wasn't going to play. So instantly, Jeremy Langford, boom, you got to have Jeremy Langford in. Okay. The problem with that theory is, yes, you could put Langford in. Boom, that saves money. But is Langford going to have as good of a day as any of the other backs? You don't know that. So an average fantasy sports player like myself has fallen for that trap many times. Okay, Deion Lewis is hurt. LeGarrette Blount's going to play. Well, I never considered at the time that LeGarrette Blount would be down, so they'd be passing the ball the whole quarter. It's those kind of things you really have to think about, and that's what makes players stand out. When you get into the algorithms, floor ceilings, projected values, weighted measures to, put into effect the win, the Vegas lines, everything else, it really kind of breaks down to, kind of knowing what will work and what won't work. And, one of the things that I kind of gambled with today, and I wanted to try out my thought here, was I put in Anquan Bolden, and Anquan Bolden went up for 18 points on DraftKings, which for any of the big winning lineups wouldn't have been good. But for a guy that, kind of has a very, very hit or miss, he went off and did good. I didn't win any money because, like I said, I made the mistake of putting in D. Williams. I had the hype. Devonta Freeman and Williams this week were so hyped that they're going to go off that you can't not play him. Or if you do play him, I'm just starting to believe that a lot of these fantasy sites and the fantasy podcasts are just throwing out this stuff so they can win money. I mean, I'm not going to... there's a difference between fantasy sports. Like if I help you and I come up with lineups and give you lineups, the lineups I give you are most likely going to be for cash-up games where I'm not playing against you because I'm not going to give you those best lineups that are going to go and win that Millionaire Maker tournament. I'm going to give you building blocks that'll save you the 3 hours it takes to research and do everything else, but I'm not going to go and give you the $1 million lineup because you don't know what that $1 million lineup is going to be. My default lineup today, I saw it in a match in an NFL Safety 8000 on DraftKings, going up against the guy that won the league in the early only had my lineup minus Brandon Marshall for Jordan Matthews. So I still would have been like 4 or 5 points short. I went to 1, and I don't claim to win, but it really just sucks the fact that I put in Williams when my big lineup that could have went off, and it just really does suck because my original lineup did go off, and I do have some stacks with Antonio Brown, Brandon Marshall, and then Julio Jones. But like I said, I either put him with Trey Mason or Jeremy Langford to save money, and then they did nothing, which really sucks. And those are kind of the big mistakes I made. So when it comes to stacking, and I'm not going to get into the stacking basics. I'm just going to go into what I made wrong today. Why would I put in Ryan Fitzpatrick if I'm not going to stack Brandon Marshall? Why would I think Ryan Fitzpatrick would go off? Because I fell for the ploy of clicking on his name on DraftKings, seeing that he kind of went for 24, 27, 23. Okay, he'll at least give me that without looking at the floor and the ceilings from dailyfantasynerd.com, and made a mistake. Brian Hoyer, Kirk Cousins was the other one. Like, I wasn't going to play Kirk Cousins because they said he was going to sit him. Okay, that's great. They're going to sit Kirk Cousins, but before they sit him, he's just going to go off for 4 touchdowns. Why not? It's those kind of things that really become an issue. So up until last night, I was still set on Jordan Matthews, Zach Ertz, Tamo Hightower, Rashad Jennings. I was flip-flopping between Julio, OBJ, and because I knew I was going to put in Jordan Matthews. Instead of having 3 big ringers, I was either going to have a combination of Marshall, Jones, Brown, that kind of combination, right? So I was trying to pick 2. So I put Jordan Matthews with Julio, paid off. But then I put him with Doug Baldwin, who failed. Or I put him with OBJ, who failed. Those are the kind of the mistakes that I made, especially when you look at a lineup, because fantasy sports are so close that you can lose by 0.1 of a point, and it kills you. So the other big mistake that I made today was really kind of trusting in and putting my faith into somebody. And blind faith in fantasy just doesn't work. You kind of have to have that analytical data and kind of go for it. And one of the guys I put that faith into today, for some random reason, no idea why, was Vance McDonald. I try to, say to myself, okay, he's a $3,000 tight end. He's going to save you a lot of money. You can get in and go get all your best guys that you want. But then I put in Chris Ivory and James White and didn't capitalize on it. Or I put in D. Williams. I made stupid small mistakes. And my best lineup today that went off, if I go over it right now, because they're still playing, I got Alex Smith as quarterback, Tim Hightower, Jeremy Langford, Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, Brandon Marshall, Kyle Rudolph, Trey Mason, and the Colts defense. So had I not played Brandon Marshall and swapped him out for Jordan Matthews, that alone saves me, I think it was $3,200. So that $3,200 took away $500 from Rashad. And then from that $2,700, I think Trey Mason had, who did Trey Mason have as a running back in? I had a running back in as a flex. I can't remember who it was. It just kills you. It really does when you have a set lineup. And this is what I'm going to start doing from now on, NBA. The first look lineup I set up, I'm just going to enter it and not change it and make those mistakes. So I kind of want to emphasize this, that fantasy sports are in no way a given. My lineups were solid. My research was solid. In the last 20 minutes before the league started, I changed my mind and went with James White and D. Williams because I thought they would be passing to James White more because Miami was horrible defense. And then what does Miami do? They come out with a huge shocker. So when it comes down to it, the big thing that I want to emphasize more than anything, believe in the numbers. If you believe, and you can trust your hunch. But I have made that mistake many times where I didn't believe in the numbers. Buck Allen was another one. Buck Allen won me a lot of money one week. All right. I put him in next week, blind faith, him and Kamar Aiken. No reason, without even looking at the matchup, and they failed, which really sucked. I I recently had a big hit where I got first and second in a league and a play action pass. And the lineups I put in were solid. I put in just 2 lineups. I didn't have a bunch of different ones. I just did me. It seems like when I lose money or I don't win, it's when I put in like 50 different lineups and I try to spread all over the place. So if 50 lineups went out into tournaments, 1 got first place and 1, that's all that matters. That's the mistake I made. The week I won and got first place and won, I think it was $150. It was only a $2,000 NFL play action. I put in Cam Newton, David Johnson, James White, Kamar Aiken, Doug Baldwin, Jeremy Maclin, Thomas Watkins, and the Chiefs D. Chiefs D went out for 21. Watkins went out for 31. Baldwin went up for 20. Kamar Aiken did 30. White did 20. And that was the game that David Johnson and Cam Newton went for 48 and 47. I saw that. Analytically, I saw they were going to go off. I went through the numbers. Obviously, they're a big game. Cam Newton was very underdrafted in that one. I think he went for like 12% maybe. And then my other one that I finished second was that same exact lineup. But the reason I lost was the other guy had who did he play that I didn't? He played Ted Ginn, so he beat me by about 2 points, which kind of sucks. But those were my kind of 2 big scores, $250 and $150 from $15. This was just last minute. I kind of researched during the week, and I didn't have any money in my account, so I actually deposited my own money for the first time in like a couple weeks, and I won $490 that weekend. So fantasy sports are all over the place, and that is kind of why. And I'm stuttering all over the place. Eventually, I want to have these kind of scripted, go through my bulleted points, talking points, whatever. But this is just kind of an emotional one to kind of show you the side of things that there are so many things that go into fantasy sports that it's almost impossible to tell somebody for sure it's going to go off. Because had Williams not gotten hurt today for Pittsburgh, I was 5 points away from winning $112. I missed a lot of my double ups and leagues by 5 points because I stacked in James White and Williams. Just kills me. So I'm going to learn from this. I think I'm only going to win like $10 from DraftKings this weekend. I mean, I only put in $27, I think, $30. Those are referral money. That's not my money. So it's like if I lose, it fucking sucks. Like today, when I saw my guy in the early only have my lineup, like I said, minus Jordan Matthews for Brandon Marshall. So I went to 1, but I would have, placed top and would have won a couple $100. It just kind of hits you when you make that last minute change. So if you have any interest in fantasy sports, if you want to get into this whatsoever, feel free, come on over. The link is in the description. If you guys want to sign up, I highly encourage you to do it, man. Even if you want to try, you got to be 18. You got to live in a state where it's legal. If you've already on these sites, man, I'd love to get some leagues going, some NBA, things like that. NBA is a little bit more consistent. I've won about 70% of my beginner NBA games over there. When it comes down to it, though, I'm hooked on fantasy sports, man, and I want to continue, and I want to grind this. I want to go for it, and I'm going to put some resources in the description if you guys want to possibly get into fantasy sports. There's a lot of people that are more knowledgeable than me. My cat's probably one of them, but I enjoy it. It's fun. Like I said, even if you don't put money in and you just play the free ones and you're like sweating back and forth and it's a great time, I highly suggest you come out. Check it out. I have Kyle Rudolph tonight, so hopefully Kyle Rudolph goes off. Other than that, my lineup shit the bed. This is the worst week I think I had because of D. Williams and James White, which sucks because my original lineup would have won a lot of money. So those are the kind of things I wanted to go over with the Patriots. Just screwing me with James White, D. Williams getting hurt, tinkering, everything that happened, guys. I want to know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know if you enjoyed something like this. Now, obviously, I'm probably going to say 1% of the people are going to watch this video. It's probably going to get like 1,000 views. But I'm going to get better. We're going to have graphics. We're going to do live shows. We're creating wrestling with DFS.com. And a lot of big things are coming, guys. I enjoy doing this. I want to continue to do this. Hopefully you enjoy it. If not, sorry. As nice play there as Eddie Lacy gets taken down. It's bringing back my love for sports, man. And more than anything, it's like when I played NHL Supercard, when I went out there, I said to myself, man, I freaking love hockey. What happened to me? I just stopped watching. Like, people accuse me, you don't even watch hockey. I loved hockey growing up, man. The Blues were my team. I was a Rams fan, a Blues fan. And come on, don't tell me I don't like hockey. Wrestling just became more important, and now those other things are kind of balancing themselves out. I'm liking more things besides just wrestling, and I'm enjoying it, and I couldn't be happier. So if you guys want to come along for the ride, Wrestling with Fantasy, WrestlingWithDFS.com. Yeah, I appreciate you guys stopping by as we're in the last minute 30 here. I was going to end the video, and then I realized the game is so close, we're going to kind of wait and see if they can score or do something with it as we kind of just wrap up and kind of get my last thoughts here. Let me move over to FanDuel, because FanDuel I have not had as much success. Like I said, I literally just signed up a couple weeks ago, played my first game, and I actually have to put in my own real cash, and I fell out of the money. Holy crap. I was at $15, and now I'm at $6. So it's going to be a losing weekend this week on FanDuel. All because I had the right lineups, but I was so close. I was right there, man. Like, you have no idea. And it's kind of a bummer when you have kind of that right set lineup, when you put in Ben Roethlisberger, you put in Rashad Jennings, I put in Antonio Brown, I put in Jordan Matthews, but then I played in D'Angelo Williams. And it's just like, you can't do stuff like that, man. You got to kind of go in and trust your numbers, trust your research, trust your hunches. And the original hunches would have won me a lot of money. And this is just kind of a way to understand and kind of learn from this, because this is something I want to do, man. There is something so rewarding, analytical about researching and writing down notes and planning. And then to see everything, even if you don't win, like I had this weekend, I didn't win. It's like getting a big push in the WWE, and then all of a sudden it just ends. And it's like, all right. But I didn't play my money, so I wasn't too worried about losing. So if you guys want to get on this action for fantasy sports, I don't have any links to any of their sites. I'm not paid by DraftKings in any way, shape, or form. I just like DraftKings. I fell for it. This is not a sponsored video post. And I really want to, kind of go for this, guys. And I hope you kind of stick around for the journey as I actually learn more and not make those stupid mistakes and think about, because this is when I was so happy. The other night, I won my buddy $30 in NBA beginner matches with his referral bonus. He signed up, and then I took his 25. And actually, I took he entered $5 5-person and a 5-person 3-person, $5 3-person. So he won $28.50 or whatever it was. And he was waiting till the last. He was like, dude, I'm nowhere near winning. What the hell? You gave me crappy lineups. And then my lineups, because I planned it out. I knew the LA Clippers were going to dominate. Aldrich was going to come in. Look what happened. He did. Cole went off for 30-plus points. Won. He wasn't sweating. My buddy cashed out that $30. Had his cousin or friend or whoever it was sign up on DraftKings. No, it was his cousin. It was his friend. And had another $25. I was like, hey, can you help me with some lineups? Simple as that, man. I don't ever play with what I cash out. I just cash it out. Pretty simple. As we get down to it, man. Minute 18, Aaron Rodgers. I'm just going to start commentating this match as Eddie Lacy, this game. Eddie Lacy trying to get to the outside. Minnesota is out of timeouts. Green Bay pretty much has this game locked up with that first down. I just got to run out the clock and then call that timeout. If you guys want to get in with a conversation with me, if you want to jump in, it's at Tubby Emu. And just kind of come over, check it out. And I want to thank you for kind of sticking with this. Because like I said, this is me just kind of rambling. This is not me having a dedicated show. I'm just legitimately just kind of in shock and awe that even if I didn't win, my bank account is like empty. I'm screwed, whatever. I was kind of hoping on this money to win because I had won the last month and a half. I won $250 that weekend. I won $450 the next week. And then last weekend it fell off and I only won $95. I was still thinking, okay, I can at least win $50 today. Have $50, boom. I'm going to win 14. And it just sucks. But that's the thing, man. Wrestling with fantasy, it's all fun. It's all great. Seeing your hard work pay off. I hope you enjoy that $500, Mr. I'd have to find the link to who I sent it to, B Jolly Yag 123 or whoever it was that used my lineup and won money. NBA, I'm gonna get a lot more consistent with NBA football as it's still a minute left. Look at the Packers, man. They're stalling out this game. They're doing whatever they can right now just to kind of slow the pace down, even though the game's over, man. All you have to do at this point is kneel the ball, call a timeout, kick a field goal, and this game is over. That's one of the other things, man. When you get into the final seconds of a game, basketball, if the game's not close, they just kind of waste it out. So you have to think about that. If they're ahead, the second guys are going to come in. You have to think of starting lineups, who's going to start in the second half for your backup guys. So many things to consider, where when I tell you guys to come over and check it out, man, I'll tell you the first thing. If you come over and you check it out, don't just jump in, play games, and waste that money. Keep it there, sit tight, do your research, find some people, check out some DFS lineups people, check out rotogrinders.com, check out, there's so many options, there's so many websites, Daily Fantasy Nerd for algorithms, Fantasy Labs. There are people that are grinding this out, and they're just making money every day. Like for me, in December, every day I was probably making like $30 just playing fantasy sports. That's it. Fun. Then days like today, I win absolutely nothing. Fun. That's what it's all about. And I don't even think about it. It's at the money at this point. It's the fact that you can research it, help out people. It is going to be a good time. And I'm really going to try in the next couple months here leading up to the baseball season to really learn, understand, help you guys. And I would love to get a league going, man. I would love to play with subscribers. I would love to get more into sports that isn't just football. Getting back into basketball. I got NBA League Pass. I've been watching the games on that. What happened to me, man? This is the Tubby Emu. This is the stuff I love. I love talking sports. I love talking lineups. I love talking stats. I love talking. For the last couple of years, I haven't paid attention, so now I'm trying to relearn everything, get back into it, trying to make sure who's still good, who's not. And that's kind of the journey I hope you come with me. If you're a WWE fan and you haven't done anything else in the last couple of years, come along for the ride. If you already play fantasy sports and you just hopefully enjoy the content, stick around as here we go. They're not going to have enough time, actually. The Vikings are going to get the ball back with about 12 seconds left to go. So can they march down the field and put up a score here? Will Teddy Bridgewater be able to bring them back? What a win this would be for the Packers to beat the Vikings. I hope the Vikings win tonight. I really do. To shut up my friends that are Packer fans. I thought this game for a second was for playoffs to get in. I didn't know they were both in. They were just fighting for seed. Because if they were fighting for the playoffs and the Packers lost by the Vikings, I would never hear the end of it in my town. So the last thing I want to do, kind of a little segment here, give my big shout out to Attaboy of the Day. And my big Attaboy of the Day with fantasy sports, the guy that came out there and saved the day, the guy that I didn't think was, to be honest, was going to do much. And that was the Colts defense. I wouldn't even have won this $10 if it wasn't for that pick six. I picked you because I thought Tennessee wasn't going to score any points. Then you announced Josh Freeman was playing, and Josh Freeman did good. Colts defense, though, won me $14 by 1 point. Once they got that last sack near the end of the game, it moved me up, saved that money. So my big shout out to you. The Colts defense, who I put in all week long, went all the way down to 1 point and then had a pick six, 4 sacks, and an interception after that to build back up to 12 defensive points. Texans got 29, so it wouldn't help me at all. But that's my shout out of the week because everybody else I knew was going to do good. Actually, I knew the Colts were going to do good too, but I messed up. Jeremy Langford, I will never put you on my roster again. Until next time, guys, thank you very, very much for watching as the Vikings are still playing on the screen. As I want to tell you this one last thing. Fantasy sports, the secret to winning on fantasy sports is as simple as this. What you want to do, I was going to end the stream. There is no guaranteed success. There's too many variables, but if you put in the practice, the time, you understand what you're doing, it might be a little better, a little funner. You might just fill your wallet with a little bit more money. Until next time, it looks like the Packers won. The Packers are the higher seed in the playoffs. And until next time, my name is Tubby Emu. Thank you very much for watching Wrestling with Fantasy, WrestlingWithDFS.com. And until next time, we will see you all later.